and she's just connecting right now. Let me see where I can put it. So that maybe. And she's just connecting right now. Let me see where I can put it. So that maybe.
Maybe a bowl or something.
And
I mean, even just I can hear.
just connecting right now.
Yeah. So
Let me see where I can put it.
If you see
So
also easy nutrition, it's not
maybe.
maybe a bowl or something like 08.
And
Maybe just I can hear.
just connecting right now.
Yeah. So
Let me see where I can put it. So
yeah, you're welcome. Well, I need to do that. Hello. Hi. Welcome in. My name's Almarie. I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm also the owner of Also Easy Nutrition, a virtual nutrition consulting company that helps people make dietary choices. Yeah, so we are really local, small business, anyways, I work with Health Dimensions, and so they invited us, and I will also be here at your health fair. So if you wanted to talk a little bit more or explore my health fair booth, it's pretty interactive, but today I do hope that you feel free to ask questions. I mean, we have an hour together where you can explore different aspects of nutrition, but primarily the subject that your leader picked was mindful eating and nutrition basics. Okay. Now has been taken out. I do provide group classes for companies. So this is actually taken out as one of the classes from there. So if you wanted to explore more, you can do that individually or through the company. But today you get the sneak peek. Before we get started, does anybody know what mindful eating is? Any ideas? Mindful eating. Okay. Yeah, and I see that she's like making a pyramid. Yeah, that pyramid is long gone, but we'll talk about that today. Any other ideas on what mindful eating could be?
I could tell you what it's not.
Okay, what it's not, I like that. It's okay, it's not that bad. Okay, got it. So today we're going to talk about what is mindful eating, really defining mindful eating. Mindful eating is actually a technique that we practice with individuals that have disordered eating patterns or suffer from an actual eating disorder. So anywhere from anorexia, binge eating, bulimia, among others. But there's an actual nutrition intervention that you would work alongside repetitively, not stop weekly, to make sure that these habits are ingrained, because mindful eating is something that you can't do overnight. It's not like adapting to keto where you're like, well, I'm not going to eat fats. I'm only going to eat fats, right? I'm not going to eat any carbs starting tomorrow. Like that's an easy change, right? Like starting tomorrow, I'm not going to eat any carbs. So mindful eating is a little bit harder. There's a lot of psychology behind it, so it takes a lot of effort. I like to think of it like yoga practice. Right? They say that yoga is something you need to keep practicing. You're never going to really master it, because as soon as you stop doing it, you're going to tighten back up. So it's very similar. We're also going to go, once we have an understanding of what mindful eating is, we're going to dive into what a healthy plate should look like, right? So probably what we used to think was the pyramid. Now we have a plate that we use as our guide, which is pretty useful because we eat on plates. Yeah. And then obviously I'm going to teach you how to read a nutrition facts label. You'll be surprised how many people I meet, which is totally normal, that don't really feel confident reading a label. There are parts of the label that they know how to read. They're like, oh yeah, I know how many carbs it has. But like, I know how many calories it has, and that's where it ends. So today I want you to leave making sure you are aware how to read it. So when you go to the grocery store, you walk in, you're confident, and you're like, that's the one I'm gonna get. Okay, so if you're not feeling like that, make sure you ask questions before the end of our session. And then we're going to talk about a couple things that you can do while you're at work because this is a work that can make you be a little bit healthier, so then you can be 1% better. Okay. So the reason why I want to talk about all of this and why everyone should talk about all of this all the time, just like I do, is because nutrition is important and it's not specific to someone with diabetes. Everybody who eats and lives and breathes needs to have some type of nutrition knowledge. Now, the sad thing is that nobody sits down and teaches you anything. You have to find out through some TikTok video, some Instagram reel, some random YouTube you decided to watch at like 1 a.m. And then maybe your girlfriend told you something at brunch. But there's really not a time in your life where you sit down and have an entire nutrition class. And so thankfully there's dietitians, and we do 7 years of college education to get to this point and really understand every aspect of it. So the long-term benefits are preventing and treating any chronic condition. So remember that diabetes, hypertension, elevated cholesterol, liver disease, kidney disease, all of these are chronic conditions that I see most elderly people struggle, and they all are related to our food. Every single decision you make, you have 3 times every day to make a decision to prevent chronic conditions. And that is all around food. So instead of opting in for medications, right? That's an easy one. The doctors are like, yeah, pills. But dietitians are always going to be like, let's just actually fix the diet and then we can manage the chronic condition. So we want to minimize all of those chronic conditions as much as possible. But not only that, I want you to feel better while you're at work, right? Once you start eating healthier, your energy is going to go through the roof. You're going to feel as pumped as I am all the time. And then a lot of the things that I see most of my clients experience is that they don't feel like they have brain fog. You know, that feeling you're groggy, you wake up and you're like, oh, shit. Oh, okay. It's okay. It's just it's like a Shamu show here. But yeah, you don't want to wake up feeling tired automatically. You want to wake up with energy. And so if you're not feeling like that, then there's something wrong or something we need to dive into. And we also want you to have energy lasting all throughout the day, not necessarily coming in from caffeine, right? So if we're just like, I'm drinking all this coffee to feel better, that's not really the solution here, right? Thank you. So this is a mindful experiment. If you have food in front of you, let me know. If you don't, you need food? We have food here. Yeah, so if you don't have food, I brought 1 piece of food. Okay, everyone's gonna have to take this food. You're gonna take 1 bite. And yeah, just take a bite. Real quick. Just think about food. Don't think about it too much. We're not doing mindful eating yet, okay? So now, did you finish chewing it? Did everybody finish their bite? It's just like half bite, like. Okay, so what was your experience chewing the food right now? Did you chew quickly? Did you swallow it like really fast? Did you take your time because I was watching you eat? Go ahead and let me know. How was your experience currently chewing your food?
Fast.
Yes, it honestly, the experience might change because of the food. So chips, sometimes chips just like dissolve in your mouth. You'll put it in a crunch and then swallow. But something like a carrot, I mean, I think he's still chewing on that. I brought a tough one, yeah. So something that has a little bit more fiber, it's gonna take a lot longer to chew and put down. And even if we're feeling rushed, we're probably not gonna chew it as much as we should and still swallow it, okay? So today, the hope is that when we finish talking about mindful eating, the next time that you take a bite is a little bit different. Okay, so mindful eating is, like I said, very similar to yoga, where they practice mindfulness, being aware what's happening in that moment. So rather than just, focusing on your breath, we're actually focusing on the food that's in front of us. We're stopping and we're paying close attention to what's happening around us and inside of us. We're also listening to our hunger and fullness cues. Who here can actually stop eating when they're full? Raise your hand. When you stop eating, once you're full, you're like, I can't anymore. Okay.
I think it depends.
It depends, okay. I like that. Maybe it's chocolate cake, yeah, it's fine. All right, so what about, can you tell when your body is hungry? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah, that one's usually a lot easier. But I do see a lot of clients saying, I'm not hungry, right? I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry enough to eat breakfast. That's a common one. You're like, why skip it? Because I'm not hungry. I'm not. So in order to fix this, we need to also implement mindful eating. Another thing about mindful eating is eating without distractions. That's really hard, especially in the office, there's a Teams call, there's a luncheon that learning happening at the same time. There's your phone, that we are always surrounded by distractions. So mindful eating it's just really hard to do. But it also is important to note that it's supposed to engage all of your senses. So if you're distracted, you're not going to be able to properly do that. We lose mindfulness because we're multitasking, because we're busy, we're trying to rush to our next task, or we're maybe walking and eating like I was on my way here. I was like making a burrito and like sprinting and eating the burrito. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things going on. So if you're constantly trying to do the next thing, you're not going to be able to practice mindful eating. Another thing is that the time that we allow ourselves to eat is really short, especially when we grew up. So when we were in elementary school, how much time did you think you had when you were eating lunch when you were in school, like elementary, middle, and high school? How much time do you feel like you had to eat?
Thank you for giving the time that you sat down, I'm gonna get to 15 because I literally eat my meal.
Yeah, I actually would say it's even less because you get 20 minutes, you gotta walk, you gotta stand in a line, you gotta talk to your friends, you gotta pay, you gotta sit down. Oh, what are you gonna say? Oh my God, yeah, let's do it together. And then you're talking about everything in life that's, I don't even know what we talked about in high school. And then by the time you're eating, it's maybe 7 to 10 minutes. It's probably like, so on average, students are spending 7 to 10 minutes eating. So we have been trained to rush through our food because there's something we have to do. And so mindful eating is really hard because of that. Also in the workplace, we're given 30 minutes, right? Maybe 30 minutes, an hour. Fancy, depending how much you give here. But it's really short. And so as parents, or if you're a parent, really allow your kids to experience longer periods of time at home to eat, so then they can break away from this short period, short eating cycle that they experience at school. Another thing is that we have a misunderstanding of what hunger, satiety, and fullness, what that looks like for us. So maybe we are mentally hungry and not physically hungry. Like you could have your perfect lunch right now, super healthy. I heard someone saying getting ready for a wedding, brought a salad, but then you get a crisis call, and then suddenly you're like, I need a snack, right? And you like go get that piece of candy that was sitting on your drawer forever. And so now that hunger is different than the hunger you had earlier when you had your fancy salad, right? So we lose the ability to really define what it feels like to experience hunger, fullness, and satiety. And of course, people are on a lot of medications nowadays that can interact with your appetite. So are you on any medications? Do we need to work through that? In order to do mindful eating, we're going to talk about it in 5 different steps. Mindful eating techniques can be done in so many different ways. This is just one way that I'm going to present to you, one strategy. And it's a lot more in regards to just like reflecting and gratefulness kind of aspect. And so we're going to go through all steps right now. First step is arriving. Arriving is is, let's go back to that moment where you had the salad and you had the crisis call and you felt like you wanted to have a sweet treat. That moment you're arriving to like, wait, am I gonna eat right now? Like, I'm gonna eat something. So arriving means arriving to the idea of actually introducing food to your body in that moment. So am I actually going to allow this candy bar to get inside of me right now? Am I welcoming the candy bar? Or is the candy bar just gonna sit there for a little longer, maybe until tomorrow? So arriving means accepting the food into your body, right? We don't have to eat the food. The candy bar has been there long enough. It can wait another day. But you have to make that decision to welcome it, or at that moment to decide you're not going to eat it. Arriving also means if you decide to eat that candy bar, you're gonna really, really make it special. So tear it out, unpeel it, maybe smell it. So really get a feel for this candy bar and embed yourself in the experience. Awaken and sensation. Now that we've taken time to smell the candy bar, maybe to imagine what the candy bar will taste like. Now we have to think about something a little bit more deep. And maybe I shouldn't use a candy bar for this because it's kind of a lame food. Let's talk about the salad. So let's say you wanted to introduce the salad into your body. Deepening the sensation, awaken and feeling that sensation might look like thinking about how the salad got to you, right? So all of the resources, all of the sacrifices, the energy that it took for that salad to be harvested and then brought to your table. So that's a lot of work. I lived in Yuma, Arizona, one of the major crop cities in like the nation for like lettuce and greens. And I saw every single morning the school buses that were completely white coming in with hundreds and hundreds of Mexican farm workers to go pick our food every single day. And seeing them on their knees, every single day I was going to school, going to work, they were there on their knees, no matter what the weather was like. And we don't really think about that. We just think, oh, I'm gonna go to Kava and I'm gonna order the salad, right? Like, what? So mindful eating is also thinking about that hard work that someone did to get to your tiny salad. And hopefully you don't forget to eat the salad and leave it wilted there, because that would suck. But that's also very common. Now, service and experience. Service and experience is, let's say you have a food that is triggering. So when we talk about emotional eating and disordered eating, there are certain foods that you cannot turn away from. That's a trigger food. So for me, mac and cheese, man, I am gluten-free and I still struggle with mac and cheese. And so mac and cheese is a trigger food. You have to define it. Find your trigger food, define it, tell it, this is the trigger food. If I come across it, I need to know what to do. And so if you have this trigger food, you shouldn't have these foods in your home because you already know what happens when people. So instead, I want you to experience the food differently. So let's say yours is ice cream. Instead of buying a pint of ice cream, go out with your family and get some ice cream every Friday. Make it special. Really change the environment and change the experience. Another thing is that if you have difficulty eating something healthy, for example, and you're like, oh, this is lame, I want burgers, and they told me to eat a vegetable, make it fancy. So how can you change the experience at home, right? How can we plate it differently? Maybe you can set the table up, light a candle, I don't know, put some heels on, dress up, serve some wine, I don't care, but do something so then the experience could be more welcoming for you. And then tune in, ask yourself, am I experiencing emotional or physical hunger? And which one feels more satisfied right now? Okay, so all of these things you can experience through mindful eating. And then at the end of the day, if this is something you want to continue exploring, write it down, right? Journal about it. I ate a trigger food today with my girlfriends while I was at brunch and I didn't overeat. That was a success. Something simple like that. So think about how you can really bring it all together and improve some of the dietary choices you're making. Any questions about the 5 steps? Okay. I tend to be an over explainer, so Okay, so other things, mindful portions, and this is what we're gonna dive into a little bit further. But we need to make sure we are aware how often we eat. And then how much food we have on our fork. Like sometimes we take big bites, sometimes we take little bites. Also pay attention to how long it takes to chew your food, so like we did earlier. Most people can chew their food anywhere between 5 to 10 times, but Ayurvedic, which is a traditional Indian medicine, they recommend at least 30 times or more to chew your food. So maybe be in the middle and do 10 to 20, but can you get to up to 30 times before swallowing the food? Okay. So think about that. Next time you have a bite, try it out. Maybe you're just like, no, I'm too hungry, I'm gonna swallow it, but maybe it works out differently. And then ask yourself, how often are you really pausing? So if you're by yourself, people tend to rush, but when they're in a social gathering, you're talking, you're putting the fork down. So really pay attention to how that is different in different environments. And how much time you take between bites. So that might look like you actually start actively putting your fork down between bites. So that's a technique that might help people if they're feeling like they're rushing through meals. Just put the fork down, pause, pick it up, do it again. And then we want ideally for our meals to last at least 20 minutes. So we already know it can be really short. So we want to lengthen that as much as possible. Okay, now we're gonna switch gears and talk about the plate. How do we feel about mindful eating from 1 through 10? What's the confidence level? You can put some hands up, you can say it out loud, I don't care. How's the confidence level in regards to everything we just talked about? Okay.
My take is, so much, and it's so funny that we're here and participate with the native communities. And they are so into all of this. They do everything out of their way, and they do every label
Oh gosh.
on everything.
Well, we haven't even started talking about labels yet.
I know. But I think what's hard about it, is my take is, as I came home from that, he said, there's not one healthy thing in my kitchen. There's not one healthy thing in my refrigerator or even in my kitchen. Nothing, not even my ketchup.
Oh,
You know,
oh yeah.
read the label.
Yeah.
Just wait through this class. You know, so I think it's hard for us to have mindful eating because we're not provided with the things in the store that we really, really need. And everything we stick in our mouth is killing us. So if we were at a store that only had good stuff in it.
Hold up, one store, huh?
Or
No pressure.
we can all have a very healthy mindful.
Oh gosh, I mean, let us know. Give us the GPS coordinates to that store.
That's my take.
Okay. Yeah, well, sometimes healthy eating can be a little bit overwhelming for sure. But it is a process, right? Everything I'm teaching you right now, I mean, I tell you more than I usually teach someone in one patient call. So this is a lot of information to put down, but I want you to at least take away like 10% of what I say, so you can make at least 1 or 2 better decisions when you leave. So don't feel like, oh gosh, I have to change everything. No, it's just tiny steps, okay? And then, I mean, I also, as society, we have learned to define healthy and not healthy somehow. And as dietitians, we're taught we shouldn't define things as healthy and not healthy. We should define things as nutrient rich and caloric dense. So there's just a different point of view. And once you start reading the labels, you'll start to be able to decipher which one is more nutrient rich, which one's more caloric dense. So we'll talk about that right now, so you can feel a little bit better, even if you just shop at Walmart, because I shop at Walmart every once in a while. But I actually am a Costco person, so.
What about the Yuka app? What do you think about that?
I have it downloaded, but honestly, I haven't like looked at it. I just downloaded it because someone said it was good. But I think that if you have the skills to learn how to read the label, you're the expert. You become the expert. And so now the government created this plate. I don't like it. So I'm gonna use the hardware plate. It's better. Okay, now the plate is still an amazing tool for mastering how you should eat. Obviously, when we eat a quesadilla, it probably won't look like the real plate because it's a quesadilla. But for the most part, you can start to piece things together to make sure you get a good idea of what it should look like. So first things first, vegetables should be most of your plate. Then fruits, not too much, but it should be there. We have specifically whole grains, keyword whole. That has to be the first ingredient on the list. If that's not the first ingredient on the list, put it back on the shelf. And then healthy protein. So you're on a carnivore diet, I'm so sorry. This is not that. This is regular healthy diet. But healthy protein is going to be primarily poultry, beans, it can be nuts and seeds. It can also even be like pork and steak, but we're gonna choose lean cuts, right? So maybe do a sirloin, maybe doing the pork loin, right? Not ribeye every single Friday at Texas Roadhouse, probably not the best for our hearts. So think about how we can make different choices with our meats, limiting things that are really high in saturated fats like bacon. You don't eat bacon every day. Maybe you can do turkey on some days, right? And then processed meats. So sausages tend to have a lot of different parts of the animal, and it just increases the fat content. And then the reason why I really love the hardware plate is because it emphasizes healthy fats. I'm a big believer in fat intake. Sometimes I love my food and I'm like, wow, half of my calories were fat today. Like that's ridiculous. So I'm a big lover of fats. Healthy fats should be included in every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no exception. And so whether that's cooking with an avocado oil, olive oil, and even, that's why I freak out, canola oil, okay, that is okay. Also cooking with a little bit of grass-fed butter, that is okay, right? But also emphasizing avocados, nuts and seeds, sardines as well. So sometimes they sit in oil and olive oil. So anytime they sit in an oil, we love that. And then of course, water. Hydration is essential in order to actually lose weight, right? A process called lipolysis. In order for that to happen in your body requires H2O. So if you're not drinking water, don't expect to lose any weight. And that's a big surprise to people. I don't know why. Like, just drink your water. Now, we don't want to have sugary drinks. That shouldn't be any surprise, right? Sugary drinks. We want to limit also dairy to only 1 to 2 servings a day. So that's a little bit different from the usual healthy plate that the Academy showed. Just because sometimes dairy can have a little bit higher saturated fat content. However, I work with oncology patients, and for them, I'm like dairy all the way. So nutrition is always specific to chronic conditions, but this is kind of general guidelines. Of course, if you have chronic conditions, it would be different. And then staying active. So now I want you to take a look at this plate and let me know, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Yeah. Is it? What do you see there? Definitely an Olive Garden. I was trying to make it Olive Garden. Yeah, there's some green stuff. I didn't even notice this butter. I'm like, that's a whole green. It's definitely an whole grain. It's just, I meant it to be normal, like a white bread. Yeah. Okay, is it following the plate? No. What would you change? How could you, if you wanted to eat this at Olive Garden, what could you do to make it follow the my plate?
We could make it like zucchini noodles or whatever it is that they're making now. We could add like. Add a salad.
Yes. Yeah.
Get rid of the bread.
Okay.
Change the wine to water.
Okay.
Reverse it.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, here's my version of this Olive Garden.
Yeah.
meal, if I was there, I'm still gonna have the wine, I'm sorry. I don't care. Still part of a healthy diet. Your dietitian said it's okay. So yeah, I'm just adding water to make sure, I'm still having the pasta, but maybe I'm sharing it. So I'm cutting it into probably a quarter of the plate, and then I'm having, my husband's like, why did you put the meatballs on the side? I'm like, follow my. The meatballs are still there, no changes. I ordered a side of vegetables, and then I had some type of olive oil dressing to add the healthy fat. Okay. Do you feel like you would feel satisfied with this? Now, what component of this meal do you think would make you feel the most full? Any guesses? That.
That is a type of water, cucumber that has a lot of water.
Water, very good. The pasta, okay.
Or the meatballs.
The pasta more than the meatballs for you? Okay,
One of the other.
all right, and you guys, what do you think would make you feel more full in this dish? The pasta and okay, so, that's a good thing. Yeah, so couple things that make us feel really full. Fiber is going to expand in the body, right? So as soon as you drink water, you eat the salad, drink that water, that fiber is gonna bloop, and you're gonna feel very full. So if you're wanting to feel full, you wanna cut your calories, you wanna like lose weight, yeah, you better eat those vegetables first, and then drink some water, and then head over to the meatballs. Okay, so there is an order of food that I want you to start practicing. Starting here, get full. There, also get full. Protein causes satiety. There's like a hormone that releases when protein goes in. That's why people on these weight loss journeys, they're like, eat more protein. It's like, because it's gonna help you feel more full. So what they forget is that fiber is way better at it, but we were gonna reinforce it with the protein, okay? And then, sadly, this noodle, there's no fiber. It's completely processed. Whole other class that we had to talk about. But this pasta, if you had it on an empty stomach, it would actually make you want to eat more. So you would probably order more bread because there's no fiber. Fiber is what makes you feel full. This will make you feel like you need more by itself. So stop eating carbs on an empty stomach. That is not, don't do it. You're like literally at this big. Chips and queso. Also, don't forget chips. It's like a tortilla. Supposed to, you know, there's 4 pieces technically in a tortilla. Okay, so give me your percentage of confidence in reading the nutrition facts label. How do we feel? Percentage of confidence. 5%. 5%. I don't know. I'm pretty good at what I look for. Okay, what do you look for?
I typically look for the calories, the fat, the carbs, and everything.
I look at the,
You look at
Like, I don't look for, I typically don't look for all the little butter things.
Okay.
I'm looking, because if I, like, right now, I'm trying to increase the amount of protein that I eat. but
Right.
I don't eat very often,
okay.
so I'm trying to increase some, the protein part is.
honey sugar, I just don't.
Oh. Now, are you looking at the total sugars or the added sugars? Which one do you look at?
Added sugar.
Very good, very good. Anybody else? How's your confidence level back there? Feeling confident? It's okay, nobody taught you. How are you supposed to feel confident? Like nobody teaches you anything. Go ahead. All right, so hopefully we can at least go up a couple percentages. Okay, so reading a label. I could make it better. If I had the power to make a label, I would make it a little bit better, but I'm not in charge. So the label is created by the manufacturer for foods that have been manufactured. Okay, you're not gonna have a nutrition facts label on an apple. So that makes it easy. You can always have Whole Foods and there's never gonna be a label. Unless they package, cleaned, and then somehow put it in a bag. Then they'll have a label for someone processed it somewhere. I mean, this is just cleaning, not really a big deal. But when you're a manufacturer, you have to decide how much I'm gonna show or what I'm gonna tell you in regards to this nutrition facts label. So they just pick a certain size, and then that's what they use to create the label. The serving size does not equal portion size. So whatever they put here doesn't mean you have to eat a cup, okay? You make your own decision. You make the portion, it could be half a cup, it could be 2 cups, I don't even know what this is, it could be 3 cups if you wanted it to. But just make sure, you know, that the serving size is just what they use to calculate everything at the bottom. And now they're pretty strategic, there's a lot of rules they know how to get around. So they might play around with some numbers to make him look good. And so maybe they'll say that there's 4 servings or 2 servings per container, and most people do consume all of the containers. So for example, my favorite candy is Raisinets. And like, I'm pretty sure I can eat the whole freaking box of Raisinets at the movie theater. But it's like 4 or 5 serving sizes, like 4 or 5 servings per container. But you eat the whole box, right? Like, so make sure you are multiplying everything for when you're, for the actual portion that you're consuming. So if you're sitting down and having 4 cups of, I'm just gonna say this is pasta because I don't know what it is. 4 cups of pasta, you're gonna do 280 times 4, okay? Then 9 grams times 4. So we're doing times 4 across every single number. But in reality, just know that's not the recommendation. Calories, does anybody know what a calorie is? I mean, I did put it there. It is energy. So yeah, so calories are, it's just like a, you know, when you put it into an equation, you put something into an equation, it gives you all like, it's just energy calculated from food, right? The things that provide energy is fats, carbs, and proteins. Fats are going to provide 9 calories per gram. Carbs provide 4 calories per gram. Proteins provide 4 calories per gram. So when you eat 1 gram of fat, you're consuming more than double the amount of calories. So if you sat down and had like a hot Cheeto versus like 1 gram of like a grape, you're gonna have way more calories because the hot Cheeto has been deep fried and constant oil, but the weight will be the same. So that's differences in energy. And your body is just going to use the energy so you can literally move yourself. Okay, so that's what energy looks like for you. It's a lot more complicated, but that's as far as I'm going to go. Now, there are nutrients on this part of the label. Some of them are big nutrients, macronutrients, that means big, and then micronutrients means little. So vitamins and minerals, sodium, like sodium and cholesterol, all these things at the bottom, those are micronutrients. Those are not going to give you energy. Okay, those are just helpers for making things happen in your body. But the only thing that's going to give you energy is fat, carbs, and protein. Now it's important, we do need to consume certain amounts, and it gets really crazy. Well, we don't care about that. Now, the main things I want you to look at, and everybody said them here, we want to limit saturated fat as much as possible, sodium and added sugars. So you guys all said it together. Saturated fats are going to be listed right here. Right here it says 4.5 grams, and it's 23% of the daily value. We're going to talk about this in a second, so I just want to point out where it's at. And then we also want to limit the sodium, especially if you have hypertension, heart disease. That's sodium right there. You should not be consuming too much sodium. And then sugar. Added sugars need to be limited as well. For women, no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day. So if you have something in front of you, oh, Chips Ahoy, can you read your Chips Ahoy and tell me how many grams of added sugar? Yeah. So those might not have added sugar, but Chips Ahoy.
Mine says not a significant source of.
And then how many servings are in the container? Well, which are perfect. So So how many do you need to consume in a day? Okay, so you have 13, you still got some in the bank, okay. You can have a little margarita. Okay, but for men, we have a little, because they're bigger, I don't know why, you get everything a little bit more, but you get to have up to 38 grams of added sugar. A little bit more. Enjoy that ice cream. Now that is the American Heart Association's guidelines. I'm always gonna give you a little bit more restricted guidelines. I think the USDA and FDA recommend up to 50 grams of added sugar per day for both genders, but research shows otherwise, okay? Oh, wait, forgot. We also want to choose things that have more protein, right? Protein, bulk up, fiber, which is right here. Protein is right here. And then, of course, the bigger the percentage over here, the better it is. Okay, so just look, oh my gosh, I'm getting 25% of calcium. That's a good thing. All right, now we're gonna learn to decipher how something is high or low. And we're gonna use the 520 guide. So 5% is going to be considered low, and then 20% is going to be considered high. So look at the saturated fat content there and tell me, should you eat that? Also, why? Also, I want more. Tell me more. Should you eat it? What else? You know? Saturated fat. It's high. But remember, you make your choices. You don't have to eat this serving size. You can eat half a cup, half a cup. So that's when you make the decision to be like, oh, I'm gonna just change my portion and I'm gonna decrease it. And so that's when the problem-solving skills come in the kitchen, where you can still enjoy the food that you're making for the whole family, where you're just strategizing behind the scenes, saying, well, this not portion. Okay. So nobody needs to feel like they're excluded or feeling like, oh my gosh, you're on a diet. Like, no, nobody even will know, because all you're doing is modifying that portion to make sure that you're aligning with the percentage. Okay, what about sodium? Sodium. It is a lot of sodium. Yeah, if you have hypertension, heart disease, we shouldn't consume more than 300 milligrams per serving. Okay, 300 should be your max to be restricted.
Daily, right?
No, per serving. So per serving. Yeah, so like, let's say Funyuns right here, that was like your salty thing for the meal. That's your serving for, just make sure it's under 300. Is it under 300? 210, you can have that. Do that. Okay. So a lot of the times, the more you learn, the less you fear foods. The better your skills, the more comfortable you feel anywhere you go. Okay. Do you feel good about the 520 rule? All right, I'm gonna quiz one more time. What about fiber? What are your thoughts on this fiber? Yeah, but it is not low.
I mean, that's like I in the middle.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
above, like it's above. The middle.
Exactly. Yeah, so I would be like, this is pretty good in fiber. So even if I also look at things in grams, because I have all the grams memorized, but anything over 3 grams of fiber, you're gonna be greater than 5%. So that's how you're just 3 grams. Just remember, that's a good choice for fiber content. You'll be surprised how low fiber content is in all of cereals. I'm like, it's a freaking great. It should be high fiber. Okay, so practical tips here. Make sure you are planning your meals using the plate model. Everything we talked about, this is how you should pack your bag and make decisions here. Well, when you guys have a pantry, I haven't even walked there yet, but make decisions when you walk over there. Make decisions that do align with this model. But yeah, I'm like, should I? Maybe I need to do an intervention over there. Okay, so keep protein And fiber snacks, handy, okay? Okay, let me show you. Dietitian purse. Yeah. Yeah. Always. You can't just like walk out without a snack and water. Like if you're doing that, you're preparing for failure. You're gonna be hungry, you're gonna be hangry. Like something's gonna happen. Like you can't just like walk out. Like people just walk out with water bottles. I'm like, I get thirsty at the most random time. I cannot be thirsty or else I'll be cranky. So plan to keep things on your purse, in your car, on your desk, like in your home, right? Do grocery shopping that makes sense for you, the things that are gonna fill you up. And then hydrate rather than drinking more coffee. Sometimes you probably just need a little bit of water. We'll be hydrated. And then of course, try to do some mindful eating when you're experiencing a stressful moment at work. No, whoa, yeah. No, if you do, make sure you welcome it into your space. All right.
That's, we do cut.
Perfect, perfect. Then you, if you do it, you just practice mindfulness. That's it, you can have it. So key takeaways, slow down, listen to your body. You are the experts of your health. So once, and it's kind of interesting, but once you reach a certain level of health, in like, if you know, you start to really feel your body shift with certain foods. Like if I went to go eat McDonald's right now, I will feel like wrecked, okay? But for example, my husband grew up eating fast food every single day of his life. That's just normal. He can eat McDonald's. It was fine. He like, he craves it. He's like, I want more actually. The other day he was like, I want more. I want a Big Mac. I was like, I know. I don't want anything. Yeah, so it just, the more you expose yourself to foods that are nutrient rich, you're going to start feeling better. And then when you expose yourself to foods that are caloric rich, so foods at McDonald's, they're delicious, but they don't have nutrients, right? They're processed, they lack vitamins and minerals. So if you look at the nutrition facts label on a Big Mac, you're really not going to find a lot of vitamins and minerals. So your body's not going to feel good, right? It's going to lack things. There's more to that, but, and then read the labels and practice mindfulness. Any questions? Yeah.
Caffeine. Think we should 1 minute.
Well, okay, so caffeine, it just depends on age and it depends on how it feels for your body. So, for example, if someone was perimenopause, menopause, caffeine can actually prevent the absorption of calcium. So it can make osteoporosis, osteopenia happen a little bit quicker. So we really want to minimize calcium intake as much as possible, especially if we're experiencing hot flashes and night sweats. But for somebody who's not there, right, we have a little bit more flexibility in your caffeine intake. So I would say it doesn't matter as long as you try to stop consumption by 2 p.m. because it can take up to 6 hours for the coffee to fully metabolize in the body. So it can probably disrupt your sleep if you're consuming it too late. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? You still have them, so ask away. Oh, wow.
Like I like spinach, right?
Okay.
But like the plate that you showed with the spaghetti, I would eat the spaghetti, I would eat the meatball, and then I would eat the fish. I do my one.
Okay.
But that's really
Great part.
I'm like, it depends on what it is and how it's cooked.
Okay.
So I get like really picky, so then it's like, for me, I kind of better food, the fish is better than it's really lazy. How do you want to cook?
Good got it. I like it. Yeah.
Like if I go to fast food, I try to say, okay, well, the kids meal versus.
Okay, that's good.
But, yeah, as far as like vegetables.
It would be starting with what you love. So in learning how to make it taste good. If you don't eat it like raw, like for example, have you ever tried a Brussels sprout? At a restaurant, you would they put the balsamic, they put some like delays, and it's like, yeah, or maybe go to Texas Roadhouse and get yourself sweet potato.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
sweet potato fries.
Really? But what about green beans?
I like green beans.
There you go. That's your start. Consume green beans every single day. For at least a week. We'll have to start somewhere. So you gotta start with the things you love. And you have to only change one thing at a time. Don't go with the all or nothing mentality. You already know it doesn't work. People are like, tomorrow I'll start. How many times are you have to sit down with somebody? Tomorrow I'll start. No, tomorrow's gonna get here and you're gonna feel the exact same way. So it's not gonna start. So instead, just make one small change. And then don't feel bad if you made half the change. Okay, just start with literally introducing green beans. That's it. Yeah. Green beans it is. Everybody bring her green beans.
You can substitute.
No, definitely keep that. Okay, so I'm gonna go around the table and I want you to tell me, or around the area, and I want you to tell me one thing you took away from today. You can start.
I didn't know that fiber was within my big. Active like 5,000. Hey, did you know that? We're gonna try it to be better.
Yeah.
Shop better. We're talking about all these. It's super even more. Try to be more mindful for that.
Good, very good. What about you, sir?
They know that your parents supposed to do like 10 to 20 times.
Yes, and you started with a carrot. So, how many times did you chew your carrot?
I will count me.
What about you?
Make it special at some cold or.
Yes, make it
Cut it out.
exactly, make it a cute like date for yourself. Looks so good. You need the water. Don't forget hydrate. Love it. You know, really good.
I guess it's not Celsius. Now I know.
Yeah. You know, what about you?
I like the green and work down there. I really buy it. I like it like solution and I don't do it as often as we want to, we don't small things.
Perfect.
I used to like, when I would go to dinner, and like, when I ordered my food, I would really bring it, go and then half of it, and I go to my salad, and not even food. But I don't know how to do it, I was just like,
That works. That helps me. You, what about you?
Mine would have to be that. I love person that I can use all the time, but I don't ever put in the head to find my food from other people to do that. So in the evening, I get tired. So it's like, on the first day you have to, like, have a zero. That's life. So I can find more.
Perfect. Then what about you? Good.
Fiber. You know, I just know like with the salad, the drink water, you know, that would really well.
Yeah.
I do all the
Right, right. Good.
That makes sense on lines you have, like your first course.
Yes.
It's like salary suit, right? But your first course, if it's me and my husband was dinner and we got to a point where we typically
we split them, we just don't need that much. We split a dinner, chopped salad, like a white salad, and they split it for us. By the time I eat that, and a portion of my crab cake. Yeah. Now, he was going. But he did like the potatoes and the asparagus. I had my one thing of asparagus and half the crab cake, and I was really cool. But it makes sense on why we serve a salad first.
Perfect. And then what about you?
So I have met with a dietitian and been on the person here. And I heard a lot of what you said. I didn't hear what you said about the.
Okay. 300 milligrams per serving. Ideally 140, but max 300 milligrams of sodium per serving.
If there's a type of salt that,
Not really. Sodium is sodium. It's a molecule. It's just sodium.
so that little pink salt.
No, yeah, actually, the best sodium you can use is the one with iodine, because it's really hard to get iodine in the diet. And a lot of people are doing CMOS. It's because they're feeling better because they're finally getting iodine. So instead, for cheaper, you could just get iodine salt and get the same effects. Well, obviously, CMOS does have a lot of other minerals and nutrients that are hard to get, but that could be a start. Especially if iodine is something that you lack through some type of thyroid disorders are related to iodine. So sodium is still sodium. Down to the cellular level, it's still just sodium. And we need to remember that. That's why healthy foods, not healthy foods, they're still carbohydrates and glucose and amino acids, right? And fatty acids down at the cell level. It's just what you choose, which one has more vitamins and minerals that are going to support the use of it in the cell. So you almost have to think down in the cell when you're choosing food, like which one's going to support and optimize the cell. My cells, not the cell. Okay, what about you?
Something plain salad and water, I like that. So I'm gonna try that.
Try that.
And then just the meatballs. And I'm. So.
Good, good. Well, looks like someone.
And the rest can't drink any monster. So I will say, I think. Well, one of our workers with Tracy, I talked about this, like, plus. We had a great conversation, that's what he said is he's shop, shop out or things at the grocery store, those inside aisles or. He said because that whole outer piece is where you're getting your fruits and vegetables and the dairy that you have to have and the nuts, all of that is on the outside of the grocery store. That all of the processed foods are in aisles. Since it's been with
Most of their-
shop, if you can buy 80% of your groceries from that outside of the grocery store, he said, then you don't have to worry about how much you're. Oh.
Yes, that is very true. Good. Well, thank you guys so much. If you don't have a paper, this is just.
I don't want to be rude, but I have.
Yeah, no, thank you. And then my information is in the QR code. I have on social media, if you're curious what I eat, I usually post everything I eat, portions. There's ugly pictures, there's cute pictures. I also put little videos, so just to remind you to get a little bit healthier. And then you can text if you want to start your nutrition.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, ma'am.
And then Patty, I recorded it, so the video is going to be